Dr. Nika here. I am so excited today to have my friend and financial advisor, who's John Elks. He's such a great, knowledgeable person on the topic of finances and all of that. And in this time, I think a lot of people are understandably concerned about their finances. So I thought it would be wonderful to have John come on, give us some good insights and some tips on how we can take care of ourselves and manage our financial health in this time. Thank you, John, for being with us today.
Yeah, good morning. Nice to be here.
Great. So I'm just going to go right into it, try to punch it out as fast as we can. So like I said in the beginning, this is obviously a tough time for many financially. And as a financial advisor, what are some of the markers that you are looking for and that you're focused on right now? Is it the paycheck? Is it the stock market? Is it the unemployment ratings? What stands out to you?
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that's common for everybody, we're in the middle of a struggle, and it's a very unique struggle. And just from my own experience, it's, I'm on a bit of a roller coaster myself on a day-to-day basis. But it's a good question in terms of what are the financial markers. It's like, I think of that analogy where we're on a boat and we're entering uncharted waters, and it's uncharted waters for everybody. Even the history books, in a way, there's very little examples of how people have approached this. So my 3 or 4 recommendations are, let's assume, we're in a boat. So what would you do? You'd take inventory of what's on your boat to see how long you could go, because we're not sure how long this journey is going to take. And what sort of things your boat can survive. So take stock of all your financial items. What's that? Your checking accounts, your credit card balances, your mortgage, your rent, your car loans, your student loans, your IRA, your 401k, your insurance policies. And we're going to add a few things, right? You're going to claim unemployment, and there's this PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. So look at it all, and then I say, look at it all and then look at one thing. What's your total household cash flow? And then you've got, okay, that's the number, or that's what you've got to focus on. And you've got to stretch out the payments. And the big ones, obviously, your rent or your mortgage. And everybody's, I think they're being realistic and letting you defer it. But remember, you're deferring it. You're not getting they're not forgiving it. So you are creating debt. But your priorities are, you've got to buy the food, utilities, then your rent and mortgage, right? So understand your household cash flow. Then work at what I call a skeleton budget. What's the bare bones that you need? And that's what you use when I tell people to create an emergency fund. And if you've got one, you really appreciate it right now. And that emergency fund is your basic expenses for up to 6 months. So you're working on a skeleton budget. You're taking steps to defer your mortgage or your rent. Apparently 1/3 of people didn't pay their April rent. Kind of a medium-term goal could be to refinance your mortgage. I've had a few clients do that. We did that a little earlier, but now there's quite a backlog. But that may help depending on what interest rate you've got. You can reduce your 401k balance. Not your 401k contributions. I would really strongly recommend you avoid taking money out of your 401k. So, take stock of everything. Get to that household cash flow. Get to that skeleton budget, and I would bring your whole household into this, your extended family, because everyone's dealing with this. So everyone will have ideas, and your extended family, they're all in your corner. So, it's not easy often to ask for help, but if you share your issues with everybody, this may be a good way to avoid something that could turn into a bit of a crisis that could have easily been avoided.
Right. And I know for many people, even though we're all in this, it's not hitting us all in the exact same way. And the ways in which our financial struggles are going to materialize, it's going to shift, right, based on and who you're talking to. So if we're to sort of think about advice and tips that you would give, let's say, to the college student, what might you say to that person?
Yeah, well, I guess they're finishing off their year. They're going to miss out on the celebrations and whoever was graduating, but they've got to think now about, they were probably planning on having a summertime job. So the summertime jobs that were there maybe last year may not be there or not there as much. I'm thinking of the hospitality industry and so forth. So I would recommend to them to start working on their network as to what type of summer holiday vocations and work will be available for them, so they can quickly move and sign up, because it's going to be a very different environment. And one certification I recommend they get is the food safety license. You can go on to newyork.gov. It's free. You can do a training, but the test is $24.50. And that gives you a bit of an advantage of someone who doesn't have it if you're applying for that industry. I just noticed the other day, students are filling in for Meals on Wheels deliveries, because I'm not sure why the other workers were pulling out. Maybe they're not well. So that probably would have been a job that they would never have thought of last year. So that's what I would focus on for them, is what are they going to do this summer?
And what would you say then to the young family or even a single parent wage worker in this time? What would be your advice, your tip for them?
Yeah, well, you've got to, if you're out of work, you've got to get in line and register for that unemployment. In New York, they have a new system that was, they got Google to help, and it was up and running yesterday at 7 o'clock. So hopefully, because it was always dropping out, with so many thousands of people applying. So get that unemployment. There's also a pandemic unemployment assistance. There's an additional amount. Very easy to apply for. newyork.gov. But it kicks in if you don't get unemployment. So that's easy to apply for, but then you've got to get in line and get registered for that unemployment. So some people who may not have been working long enough or whatever, at least they'll have this PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. The young family, their whole life is really being turned upside down because the kids are home, they're homeschooling. Mum and dad are home, working from home. It must be quite an extraordinary time for them. A lot of people I know living in the city, a lot of them have just moved out to their parents or where they were, planning to go in the summer. They've just extended their summertime. But to do all those things I mentioned before in terms of the skeleton budget, that household expenditure, because we don't know how long this is going to last.
And what would you say then to the small business owner who, for some, I've been hearing so many reports that say many of them may have a hard time coming back when this is all over.
Sure.
So what would you say to that person?
There are a lot of government loan programs. The Paychecks payroll program is one where you can borrow up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. You have to pay that back. However, in the first 8 weeks of when you have that loan, say I get the loan May the 1st, so what you pay in utilities, rent and mortgages and payroll in that from May and June, you don't have to repay. So it's a gift. And there's other loans. It is quite complicated. There's other loans that are available, but if you get what I just mentioned, like there's a payroll tax deferral, but you can't get that if you've got this other loan. So small businesses need to work with their their tax advisors and navigating this and getting those loan applications in. But keep in mind, always remember what is forgiven and what has to be paid back,
Right.
and you are creating debt. And as you say, if they've had to close, they should keep in mind that they are, reopening. It's almost launching a new business when things come on. Now, if you're in a restaurant, you're probably going to see the waitresses or waiters wearing masks, right? And maybe there'll be more room between the tables, but maybe they're going to have to take the temperature of their workers every day to see if there's anyone at risk. So it's going to be a very new business. Think about gift cards, what they can do online, things like that. But it's in a way it's going to be exciting because some places will not reopen, so the market's a little bigger, but you've got to make sure you capture that. So challenging times.
Absolutely. And it may feel like this is never ending. And to your point earlier, it's very uncertain as to exactly when it will end, but there is hope that it will end. And so what would you say to people, when this is all said and done, what's some of perhaps the first thing you would encourage people to go out and do to really secure and improve their financial state?
Keep that skeleton budget going. You don't, it starts to end, don't get this retail therapy mindset, I'm going out shopping. Probably do a little bit of that. We'll all go to the hairdresser. Maybe in 2 months you won't recognize me. I'll have long hair and a big beard, but keep that skeleton budget going and build up. So, okay, I've got to get this emergency fund done, because the Spanish flu came in 3 cycles. There's no guarantee that this will not come back. And when it does, you want to have that emergency fund so you can take it. You can sail through it again. Another thing is, it's probably a good time to start looking at your insurance policies. Now, couples realize that, wow, if one of us isn't around, the other person needs some money with the kids. And when you're young, insurance policies are quite inexpensive. So you get a term life policy, something very simple. And also, it's a sign of the times. A lot of doctors and healthcare workers are getting their estate plans. They're getting their wills, medical power of attorneys done. And that shows how critical it is. But I would also do that now when we come out of this. Get your things in order, so as if and when something happens, it's not going to be as dramatic as it has. Don't touch your things to avoid 401k unless you really have to. But yeah.
Absolutely. John, you've given us such great advice. And just to sum up some of the things that you've said, the idea of working on a skeleton budget and staying on that for as long as possible, given the uncertainties of this pandemic and all the shifts that are happening in our economy. It's just a good idea to try to stay as minimalistic as possible. You mentioned the idea of like having some estate planning going, maybe even creating a will and a medical will. That's something that's not even brought up very often, power of attorney over your medical care, should you not be able to decide for yourself. Those are great things to think about and to consider. I love the idea of bringing the whole family in. You are in a position where you have a good relationship with your extended family, being able to have them join in and sort of put their hats in the ring to think how we can best support each other financially in this time. So it's not each person carrying themselves individually.
Right.
To the point that you're making with the small business owner of really thinking through the loans that they're applying for. Are those forgivable, or is that more debt that you're going to be incurring? And working with your tax advisors and working with those people who are already on your payroll to help you sort through some of this stuff could be really, really vital.
And they're applying themselves.
They're applying themselves. So even better, right? So if
Yeah.
you don't have people on your payroll for those things, you can absolutely
Yeah.
do it yourself.
Yeah.
And what you're saying for the college student as well, being able to get that little license that
Yeah.
could give them a leg up if they were to go out into the service industry to
Mhm.
secure some sort of employment for the summer could really be helpful for you as you think about all of this. And it's such a storm that we're in, and so many
Yeah.
people are having a hard time weathering it. From your perspective, what's 5 words or less would you say to people that they should really keep in mind as they weather this storm?
As we go through this struggle, it can be stressful, and some days are better than others. And the weeks go for months, it seems. Um, I would think of one thing, and that is, okay, to reduce stress, think about how you can help somebody else. Well, if there's a healthcare worker near you, neighbor, or in your building, can you run an errand or help them out? If we start to think of somebody else and helping them, then we forget about our own stress levels, and that reduces it. Which is it's always a good feeling when you're helping someone else out, and we need some good feelings right at the moment, right? So yeah, think who you can help, and there's plenty of people out there. And keep in mind, sometimes people find it very hard to ask for help. So keep in touch with them. And then you'll break through. Don't just ask once.
Absolutely. I love that idea. And it just really helps in this time where we're practicing physical distancing, but that idea of still having community and still being connected to people can be so vital. And being able to be in a position to offer some sort of help in any way, to using the examples that you've just given, it could really go quite far in this time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. John, thank you so much for giving these amazing tips and for giving us all these wonderful insights that most people would have to pay lots and lots for. How do people find you? If they want to get your services, if they want to talk to you one-on-one about their own specific situations, what do they do?
Go to my website and you can find how to contact me. And in fact, if you go to the blogs, you'll see I've been writing a lot of blogs for small business and individuals about COVID-19 and for the elderly also. Or you can email me, John Elks, JONELKS at Boerum BOERUMHILLFA.com, and I'm happy to help out with whatever questions you have. And maybe on this blog you'll put up my some contact information for people.
I absolutely will. You can all find John's information right along with this post. You can just click on it, and you can also leave comments in the comment section. John will see it. I will certainly see it and forward them to him if need be. But I really do hope that you guys have all gleaned some really helpful information from this talk today. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.